When you click on this icon here, that starts the wizard software, and you get this screen here. To create a mat, you go into new mat design. It helps if you read this menu box from the right to the left. So this is your basic function, this is a more advanced function, more advanced function. Save designs, so same thing, and some informational menus. So let's do a new design. So this is the wizard software. This first little window you can use or don't have to use. You can click cancel and go right to the multi-opening designer. This is a handy little tool for making single openings. So first thing I'm going to do is put in the width. Now you have to use the tab key on wizard to go to the next entry, and then 3, and then tab, and then let's see, 7. Oops, I pressed the enter key, and so I got that error message. I always forget that, but it took it anyways. Now I want the width to be 16.5, so I'm going to go back up here and modify these. 6.5, tab, 6.5, tab, 6.5, tab. So now I have a 16 mat. It's a double mat. You can see the 2 bubbles. So I'm going to change this setting right here to a single mat, because I'm just using this for calibrating right now. So now I hit OK, and it brings me to the designer. Could have just skipped that whole page and just put it in here. But anyways, I've got the design here. Now, this is the blade holder for the machine, and it has a little symbol at the top of the blade holder. Let's see if we can see it in the light. See the reflection? It shows you which way to lay the blade in this holder. This blade's held in magnetically. Okay, it goes in upside down into the cutting head. This lever needs to be down in order to load the blade. So I'm going to push the blade in, and then when I push this, the head will snap back and it's locked the blade in place. The blade can't come out now. Now I'm going to put this back for homing the machine, because I'm going to cut. So I go to the cut program with the little knife icon right there. Click cut. It opens a separate little program and shows you the lines it's going to cut. Now, this is the outside or the frame size. I don't want to cut that. There's a choice for that up here. So I'm going to say don't cut the outside. If I had multiple layers in my design, I would have a couple different, layers here, and up here would be the indicator of what layer I'm working on. Okay. I have to put my mat in and push it over and down into the clamping area. Now I can use this icon right here to turn the machine on. I get this menu, and it says press any key to continue. It explains how to orient the cutting head. Now you heard that. It just turned the machine on, and it oriented the head, and it turned the head, and it lifted it up off the clamp. So now if we want to cut, we click this button right here. You notice the head did not pick up at every corner, but it did pull the blade out. So there's my cutout right there. Okay, and my dropout. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to measure this opening. We're going to see if it measures the right size. I told it 3 inches, right? So if I hold an inch, see I've got an inch right there. I go over there. It's actually not 3 inches because 3 plus 1 would be 4. So it's a 64th, a 32nd of an inch. Yep, 32nd of an inch over. So to fix that, I can go in here and I can go to change configurations. It opens this window. And I'm interested in opening adjustments. So it's too big. So I'm going to go negative. And it's a 32nd, so I think I'm going to split the difference. I'm going to go 1.5. That's a 64th. Now I'm going to try it again. So I'm going to click OK. I am going to go back to the design window so I can use the same piece of mat over again. And I'm going to double click on this opening. And that changed this side. And so now I'm going to change this to 4 tab, 4 tab. Now I have a 4x4, but you can see from the green lines, it's not in the center anymore. So if I go over here to center, see how that, okay, click that, and now the opening is in the center. So now I can send a cut. Okay, this time it remembered that I didn't want to cut the outside. Okay, so put the mat back in place. This time, because I've already initialized it, I've already done this step, I can just hit cut. Okay, so now we'll take the mat out, take the dropout out of the way. Let's put our ruler on it. I have to keep a hold of my ruler. So now I'm on 1 inch. Yeah. And over here, I'm on the 5. So I've got 4 inches, which is what I told it. Okay. Now I want to look at the overcuts. So you can see the overcuts right there. Right there. Now you can see, I'm going to get a pointer. 1 second. Okay. Oops. All right. If you look really closely at this overcut, it might actually be causing a little nick in the corner. Let me see if I can zoom in on that, maybe. Nope. Okay, so that little overcut is going from there to there, and it's putting a little nick in the opening. So I'm going to adjust that. I'm going to back that overcut up a little bit. Now, Wizard names their overcuts. This overcut right here is the start of the cut, but it's called the back up overcut. And then the knife goes in, cuts along here, and comes over here. And this overcut right here is called the overcut. Back up overcut, overcut, overcut. Back up overcut, overcut, overcut. Back up overcut, overcut, overcut. So when we go to the software and we go to settings, we are looking for the exterior backup. So this diagram is looking at the opening from the front of the mat. I was looking at it from the back of the mat. So if we were to flip this over, the green ones are all the backups. This is an exterior corner. This is an interior corner. Exterior overcuts, interior overcuts, opening adjustment, rotation of the cutting head in case you have a hook. We'll talk about that later. Okay, so I want this overcut to be a little bit bigger. So I'm gonna add maybe 4, maybe if I look at that, look at this again. I got maybe a 64th of an inch right there. I want to back it up, 0.15. So I want to change that. I want to increase that by 0.15. So that would be 4051. So I can just type it, back up, and put in 51. So it saved that because I pressed enter instead of tab. Now you can see these overcuts here in the screen. So you can see them change on the screen. Now I'm going to go back to the design window. I'm going to double click on this opening. And I'm going to make this over here 5 tab 5 tab. It's not in the center, so I'll center it with this icon. Then I'm ready to cut. Still energized. I don't need to do that again. Okay, make sure my mat's in place. Okay. Click the cut button. So I use this process of increasing the opening size so that I don't have to waste a whole lot of mat board. So now it looks like we got that out of the opening there. Okay. Now we flipped it over and we're looking at the front side. There's a little itty bitty overcut right there. But I don't want to mess with that because I don't want the nick in the corner. Because remember, that's a backup overcut, because if I flip it over, that will be a backup and we'll cut over here to the entry. Now, if I go back, I can actually put my mouse on the edge and I can drag a line, a guide line over to this edge, and it tells me the position of that guide line is at 5.5 inches. So I should have 5.5 inches all the way around. Now, oh, this dark area right here. So you're looking at the mat from the front. This is the no cut zone because I'm not letting the machine cut the outside. I'm just cutting the opening. So I cannot get the head any closer to the clamps than 1.5 inches. This would flip over when you were cutting. So this would be on the clamping edge, and this would be on the clamping edge. So I have 5.5 inch margins. I made a square mat, so all the margins should be 5.5 inches. So if I hold 1 inch and I look over here, I don't have 5.5 inches. I'm a 6/32 of an inch off. Now that's the horizontal distance. Come on. Come on. Let's look at the vertical distance. So I put 1 inch on there. I go up there. And I've got the same problem. I'm over by a 1/32 of an inch. Okay. So to fix that, I have to go into the settings. So I'm in the design screen. Go to configurations. And that's these two numbers right here, horizontal and vertical. So what this is doing is it's saying, hey, when the cutting head is over here and up here, how far do I have to go to get to the corner of the mat? Doesn't look like it should have to go very far, but it does. Okay, so in order to get the opening in the center of the mat, I had to adjust the horizontal overcut to that number, and I had to adjust the vertical overcut to that number. So now, with my 7-inch opening, in a 16 mat, I have 4.5 and 4.5. So now that's calibrated. Now you actually have to do this. You don't have to change these settings now, but you do have to change, like you have to test all of these overcuts. I just did the external ones. Same thing has to be done with the interior ones. Now this is cutting normal bevel up here, normal bevel. But there's a whole list of ways to cut a mat. Normal bevel, reverse bevel, different picture. Outside, if you want to keep the outside instead of like the inside. There's normal bevel cutting from the front. There's reverse bevel cutting from the front. A normal bevel cutting from the front if you want to save the dropout. Reverse bevel cutting from the front of the mat if you want to save the dropout. Outside cutting from the front of the mat. And then V-grooves. And V-grooves have 4 overcuts in every corner. All right. And they're really good about indicating which overcut is which overcut with the arrows. Okay. So to shut down the machine, in the cut program, you can disengage. So now the head dropped down, and now I can move things manually where I couldn't before when it was engaged. Quit. I want to save the mat design. No, I was just calibrating. And now we're back to the main screen. We hit exit. And then we can shut down the machine. And then go to your CyberPack and turn it off. So when you start up in the morning, you turn this on, turn your computer on here, and start the software up. And that's how you work a wizard.